mobile telephones, that are even these technological devices are determining new conditions of subjectivity and opening new possibilities of intersubjective experience or interaction. Now, the second point he identifies here is as a movement between places, migrants have also commonly been treated as a shift from one significant environment to another. Right? Within this bipolar framework, again, this duality, okay, this dialectic that's being placed upon, okay, we're seeing this created dialectic here, okay, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. We're establishing this polar opposition, but what we're ultimately seeing now in both cases is that these are not reducing themselves. We haven't yet seen with the second case, actually, but we're not necessarily reducing ourselves to a dialectic and looking for the synthesis. In fact, we're now realizing that this original seeming bipolarity or diametric opposition is in fact just two sides to the same coin, and we need to find a new antithesis and push towards a new synthesis. Right? So as we see here, this is shifted from one environment to another, with a bipolar framework variously organized around oppositions between the rural and the urban, the traditional and the modern, the Mexico and the United States. Many studies have examined how migrants take practices and attitudes adjusted to their original niche, or setting and adapt them to new locale in which they find themselves. So, of course, the tradition itself preserves itself, as we saw with the example of the Chinese, that the tradition, being a member of the upper class or a member of high culture, preserves itself, although how it is we demonstrate our high culture, whether it is driving a sports car in America or being part of a certain society in, say, China or whatever, we can see that the way we preserve this high culture or demonstrate, reveal symbolically this cultural status can differ, but at least the symbolic role itself as upper class is preserved in this framework. Okay? Oh, sorry, there's also, of course, a third point he mentions. I should have said there's three, not two. As a move between communities identified with distinct ways of life, migration has not normally been seen as a process in which the migrants and their descendants experience a more or less gradual shift from one ordered arrangement to another, either fully converting to a dominant way of life or forgetting their own form of accommodation in an ordered synthesis of old and new. Such a perspective does recognize that contradictions can arise when people combine attitudes and practices associated with the place to which they have moved with others linked to their place of origin. But it has generally dealt with these in ways that sustain the primacy of order, treating them either as incongruities in form that disappear when viewed in terms of function or as temporary features peculiar to traditional situations. Okay, a very dense, loaded statement again. Okay, so what we can see here is just going through this again, taking it back from about 5 lines down. Such a perspective does recognize that contradictions can arise when people combine attitudes and practices associated with the place to which they have moved with others linked to their place of origin. Okay, so how it is these people are now behaving, that their act, or their behavior as is viewed in their place of origin, how it is manifesting or adapting in their new surroundings, okay? But has generally dealt with these in ways that sustain the primacy of order, that they are maintaining a original cultural manifestation or embodiment of this practice. And that the shifts are incongruent in forms that disappear when viewed in terms of function. Okay, that they no longer hold their functional practicality they only play a symbolic role or a symbolic gesture in the new community that is occupied by the migrants. Okay. Whereas temporary features, peculiar to transitional situations. Again, this idea as temporary features as a way of, or wrongfully viewed as a way of making sense or being able to deal with this transition to a new social space. Okay? And so we're just going to stop there, and in the next video we're going to continue on from part 3, subsection 3 of the paper. Okay? And we're going to continue our discussion of transnationality.